Hi, I'm Michelle Werdeman, and I am here to help you navigate your life's next chapter through mind, balance, and wellness living. At every phase of our lives, through marriage, career changes, kids, and retirement, I am there for my clients emotionally to help create a personalized life plan. With my foundational coaching perspective and certified financial planning background, together we can create a plan for you through each chapter of your life. Contact me today through mbwliving.com for your free consultation. Good morning and welcome to the Boot Camp for Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Werdeman, certified life, weight, and career coach and founder of Mind, Balance, Wellness Living. And thank you so much for tuning in today, friends. I am super excited about today's podcast episode. We have a special guest, and her name is Becky Fox, and she is a weight loss coach. She helps women that are over 40 lose 30 plus pounds. So yay, welcome Becky. I'm so glad you're here.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so funny. So Becky and I actually talked this summer about doing this podcast, and it's just taken us a while, and you'll hear it's all going to be about change and emotion, but I keep this calendar on my desk that has like inspirational quotes every day, and I have to read today's because it's such perfect timing, and it's: life is about not knowing, having to change, taking the moment and making the best of it without knowing what's going to happen next. And it's Gildna Radner who said that. And I was like, this is such great timing because that's what really we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, I know. And it is. It's like there's, things come up and it's scary, but just sometimes we have to just move through it and know, like, what do they say? The grass is greener on the other side, but we don't always see it right away. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's so important to just at least try the other side, like take like that leap. And like you and I talked about, I think we both went through big life changes over the last several years, and it is scary as shit. Like, it's all good though. It's all good. And like you did yours in the middle of the pandemic.
Yes, I did. So I know, right? The whole pandemic, it was a whole thing in itself on a brick and mortar business. And then, I moved and broke up with a guy and kind of moved back to I was up by you in Massachusetts, and then decided to just move back to Florida. I lived here before, and I'm not from, everyone's like, are you from there? I'm like, no, I just kind of liked it. So yeah. I was like, I'm just gonna go back, and at least I kind of know the area, I'm comfortable with it. So with this big change of switching my business, being single again, no offense against Boston area, but I kind of didn't want to stay there. I wanted to go back to the warm weather and all that.
I don't blame you.
So I kind of took that leap, but it's funny because when I first started thinking about it, somebody's like, where would you go? And I'm like, I don't know where I would go. Like, I guess I could go wherever I want to go. But I was like, but I Florida. So let's go back to Florida. Why not? I can always decide to go somewhere else later if I want to. So
yeah, no, and there you are. And you seem like you're having a great time down there.
Yeah, I love it. It's kind of like the opposite of up there, right? Like the summers are brutal and you kind of don't want to go outside. And now we're starting to get like the cooler weather where it's like, oh, okay, I can like venture outside again and all that sort of thing. So it's almost like the seasons are kind of flipped. Like now you guys start going indoors.
Yes.
We start going outdoors. And so, but yeah, I love the energy here. I love the warm here. I love the beach. You guys have beach shirts. It's a little different here, but I do miss the hills. Like it's so flat here. So the hiking isn't quite as good as some of the areas in the north, but overall, I love it. I have some friends here and stuff to connect with.
That's awesome. So and I think this is a question that I have been asked a lot, like what got you to the point where you're like, I have to just make a change? Because I feel like people, they don't really, like, they know that something needs to change, but they don't know where to start. They don't know how to do it. And so like, what was it for you?
Yeah. For me, a lot of times it's like, I almost feel it in my body. Like I just start getting so uncomfortable with where I am that it's almost hard, like it's stand being in that situation. And even though it might feel worse temporarily to like shift gears and do something different, I know that that's temporary versus the feeling that if the way I'm feeling at that moment, it's like, if I don't do something different, this is going to stay this way for like however long I choose situation versus, okay, maybe I have to feel a little more uncomfortable to do this thing, to move, to break up with the ex, to close my business, whatever it is. But I know but then I can go do what I want to do. And I can do something that actually makes me feel excited, makes me feel good. And it's really funny too, because I remember when I first moved, I was posting a lot on Facebook Facebook. And when I first, like, I can't believe the number of comments of people that are like, you look so much happier. You look so much better. And I'm thinking, did I really look that bad before? But then I'm like, it's like, sometimes you don't even notice sometimes too, how like, yeah, I started to notice it in my body. I started to feel it, but I didn't even almost realize how bad it was until I made that to do something else. And then people started pointing that stuff out. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I am much happier, oh yeah, I do feel much better. And, so sometimes too, I think it's easy to kind of negate where we're at and make it sound a little better than it is if we really go back and look at it. It's like, if we really realize, wow, this situation really is not fun. But that was the biggest thing. I think just kind of like, I was tired, my energy was down, like every day felt that way, and it just wasn't good.
It's so interesting you say that, because that was one of my, that was one of the things that I knew I had to, something had to change, because slowly, I felt like I was eating better and working out more, but gaining weight at the same time. And I didn't know why. I look back now, I know, because it was the stress hormones and all of that. But when I started to not feel like myself, and I would get panic attacks I didn't even know what, because I'm not a worrier. And the anxiety started creeping. I wasn't sleeping. And I was in my car for some days 3 hours. It was just wasn't seeing my kids. So my transition happened over the course of a couple of years. But yeah, for me, it's same thing. I think people, you do, your body's way of telling you something has to give or something has to change. You start to feel it. And I feel like so many people just think it's the norm to kind of feel crappy, because you're just used to it. Yeah. So that's interesting. Now, what kind of feelings and emotions did you go through?
Yeah, I mean, there were certainly I think with anything, there's always fear, right? It's am I making the right decision? Is this going to work out? Am I putting myself into a worse situation? There's always a fear of what's going to happen and what's to come, and am I doing the right thing? And that's the thing. And I think there's never no right thing. And I think if we can kind of let that go and know hey, even if we make a decision and it doesn't quite go as planned, it doesn't mean it's a wrong decision, right? Because every decision we can learn. So I think just pushing through the fear and knowing that hey, that this is the only way we can see if this is going to work or not. And whether it does or not isn't always right or wrong. And this worked out really well for me, but I've had ups and downs even since I've moved with trying to restart another business, but so yeah, there's definitely fear. It's going to be uncomfortable, right? So I think sometimes, that's why people, even though people are already uncomfortable where they're at, like you said, maybe it's you're tired or you're exhausted or you're having anxiety or, panic attacks or whatever. Sometimes that seems well, that's comfortable. It's not comfortable, but it's comfortable because you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
Versus this thing that's so uncomfortable. You're well, I don't even know what's going to happen. You're this is so uncomfortable. I don't know what to expect. So sometimes, even though something's uncomfortable, I think we get comfortable with knowing at least what to expect with it.
Yes, that's so true. And it's funny, to that point, I did my podcast last week was about fear, and it's that false evidence appearing real. And it's because of the what if, and then you start to just kind of spiral out of control and people just stay stuck. And a lot of times when I coach people, I'm to your point, there's no wrong decision. So stop, trying to stress out well, what if I make the wrong decision? Okay, so if it doesn't work out, what did you learn from it? Either it's going to work out the way you wanted to or better, or it's some sort of learning opportunity.
Yeah. And we always go to the what if, the negative, right? Oh, well, this could happen and that, but then we never think, well, what if it actually goes well? What if it goes better than we expected? What if we wake up every day super excited to be alive, instead of me, it was I would go train and work for a couple hours at the studio, and then I would just want to go home and sleep, and that was I was just so exhausted the rest of the day because of all the different stressors going on. Yeah. And then I get down here and all of a sudden I have all this energy and I'm cool, this is amazing. Now I feel I can get more done and I can just enjoy my day. And it's really crazy to kind of go through that, but we don't always,
Yeah.
you know, we always go to the negative. We always go to what's going to, the worst case scenario hardly ever happens.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the other thing, you know?
Totally.
So.
And that's like, I think it's such a good point. Like I try to remind people, like when you hear yourself say like, what if, and then like something bad's on the other side of that, like try to stop yourself and be like, okay, well, what's the complete opposite of what I'm actually thinking might happen? Because chances are like that bad stuff is not going to happen. But like emotional or like feelings, it really does drain you. Like you said, like you'd work out and then you just want to go home and sleep. And it's like all of those heavy more like emotions, they really are tiring. Like it do a number on you. Your immune system becomes compromised, like all of that. And I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially since, you know, being in weight loss personally, like people, like you said, you were doing you can do all the things, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but the stress has such an impact on your weight and your health. And, you know, you might be like, well, I sleep enough, but if you're stressed out, you're still going to be tired. Right. So it really can have such an impact. And then when you think you're spending all your days, like you don't have the energy to do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
So then you're just exhausted and gaining weight, and immune system goes out the tubes, and it's just, it's kind of almost like just continues to downward spiral.
Yeah.
And you know, can we control all stress in our life? Absolutely not. But there are areas where we can definitely make choices. And sometimes even though they're scary, it's worth it in the long run for sure.
Oh my God. Like totally. Like you were saying earlier, you never realized like when people were like, you look so happy, you look so good. You're like, did I really look that bad?
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing one of the guys that I used to work with, I think probably, I don't know how long it was after, but I was like, I just like my hair. So like my hair started like becoming more thick, like my face started to look thinner, and, you know, I get on the scale, but like, I noticed like my clothes just started fitting, and I wasn't necessarily doing anything different. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is what stress has been doing like to my body for several years. And I mean, I loved my career. I loved the people I worked with, which was actually made it even so much harder to leave. Like I laugh about it now because I would say the last 4 months of like leaving my job, like it was 2 years. Like, so we knew it was coming. In the back of my mind, I'm like, is this really going to happen? Like, am I actually going to take this leap of faith in myself? And then as it got closer and closer, I was watching people start to take over my like responsibilities within the team. I didn't have a lot to do at that point, and it was really hard. Like I was there for 17 years. And like, I just remember being, I say now, I'm like, I was a hot mess. I was legit a hot mess. Like I'm an emotional person anyway. And I think that has its ups, like positives and negatives, because I feel so deeply, whether it's not so much fear, but it's more of like empathy, like that kind of stuff. And it was like mourning what like these people that I basically grew up with, and the fear of like the FOMO, fear of like losing out once I left. I was like, what's going to happen? So and it's funny because I saw a couple of my old teammates, a few weeks ago, and one of the guys had asked me, he's like, how did you do that? Like those last several months? And I was like, I just knew I had to. Like, and I think as humans, you just figure it out anyway. Like, and I was like, I embraced the suck. Like the tears, like all of that stuff, like you're just in it, like, and I think people are afraid to have those feelings, those uncomfortable feelings, and not knowing what's on the other side. But like I always say, I'm like, change is hard, but staying stuck is hard. So which one do you want to experience? Yeah. Which way do you want to go with it? And I think based on what you just said, like, I think I had a similar thing because I had the gym. So I ran a gym, but then when COVID hit, it kind of, we lost a lot of clients, and it was just I did all these big group classes. So, now we're limited to how many people we can have come in, and spacing and all these different things that really took a number on the business. And then when I decided to close it, it's tough because there's, like you said, that fear of missing out, but you also have this fear of like letting other people down. Mm-hmm. And when it, and I think it's so easy to get caught up in, well, what other people going to think, or, how are they going to feel about it, that we ignore what we need for ourselves because we're so worried about
everybody else. And I think that was a big thing I had to let go as well, is like, yeah, does it suck on closing the gym and they won't have anywhere to go, but I have to do what's right for me. And what was right for me was to not stay, cause I won't get into too much detail with the ex, but things kind of didn't go good there. And I was in his space and I didn't want to be in his space anymore. And I honestly, it just really didn't want to run a gym anymore in this kind of the climate that we were in, with really no end in sight. And I had to make that decision for me, because if I would have made that decision to be like, well, I need to keep it because I need to take care of these ladies and all this stuff, then how can I even serve them good if I'm in a place where I'm not energized and I don't feel good and I'm not, happy with where I am. So I think that's a big thing too. Sometimes we get caught up in how other people, even if you decide to break up with somebody, right? It's like you're so worried about what the other person's going to think, but it's like, but if you're not happy, you have to worry about yourself first, not worry about other people so much. So I think that's hard for a lot of people to let go. And I know in the past that's been an issue for me, of kind of sticking around with things. I'm so worried about what other people will think. So
yeah, I know it's hard, because like, I know for me, I'm like, yeah, you're afraid of like judgment. Like people used to say to me, like, I had a really good career. I was making great money, and they're like, wait, I'm sorry, you're going to be a life coach? What's happening? Like,
yeah, right.
Are you crazy? Like you're leaving your financial planning job to be a life coach.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, actually I am. And it was because like, I got into it because coaching is actually what helped like it was so like life-changing for me, because I've always loved to help people, and I was helping people. Basically, I was coaching people as a financial planner too, through like all different chapters of their lives. But when I got my own coaching and I realized that I was actually in more control than I thought I was, like, I remember just thinking, you know what, like I had turned 40. I was like, this is just life right now. Like, everyone's like, oh, once you hit 40, you do start to gain weight. So I can't wait to actually ask you about that in your boot camp program. But I was like, I have 2 little kids. Like, I'm just supposed to be stressed out all the time. And when I got coaching and I realized like, oh, wait, like I'm in more control than I thought, I was like, this is what I want to help people with, because I feel like, especially like women our ages are just on like this hamster wheel like of life. And it's just kind of like, well, I don't really know how to get off. Like, I don't know how to make a change. I don't even know where to start. So yeah, that's my mission.
I love it. Yeah. Same here. I mean, I work with a lot of women very, very much like that. And, over 40, have the kids, and they get so used to taking care of everybody else and focusing on everybody else and thinking that's just the way it has to be. And there's no time left for them and to focus on themselves. And stress is just the way it is. And it's, it gets really hard to get out of that and to know those steps to take. And it's not, and again, that's even scary, because it's like, well, if I start taking care of myself, what do I have to let go of? What do I have to do differently? And even that's scary, right? Because you're like, you don't really know you're doing, again, it's something unexpected. There's the fear there. There's all those things that come up, and you just don't always know. So even like a small change of something like weight loss, it seems like simple. For somebody to make that decision isn't always as easy as it seems. So
yeah. And I think too, like when it comes time to weight loss and emotions and stuff, like our brains are designed to not want to feel negative emotions. And it doesn't know the difference of whether or not we're really in danger or we're just uncomfortable. And, I refer to it kind of as buffering, like you're looking for that like instant gratification. So maybe it's turning to cake or alcohol or something. And it's like, when you can just learn to be with an emotion, like they just get easier to manage. And then that's like one of my favorite parts of coaching people. And so if you don't mind, would you mind sharing like a little bit more about like your coaching and women and how people can find you and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So I like similar to you, I coach women. We focus a lot more on weight loss. So we definitely get into like some of the emotional piece stuff, because so many of the women that I work with deal with, like the stress eating and all that sort of thing. And the typical, just diet and give up chocolate, like doesn't work when you're like, oh my God, I'm stressed out and I need to eat a cookie right now. So dive a lot into that stuff with my clients as well, because it's about what to eat and all that stuff too. But there's so much more to it than just focusing on what to eat and how much to eat and all that sort of thing. So I dive into a lot of that I guess you could call it food psychology a little bit more, building a better relationship around food and things like that with my clients. And and so I have different programs there to work with me. And so, yeah, you can definitely check out my website. It's beckyfoxfitness.com. So I've got like a free cravings guide on there and some different blog posts and things to kind of help you get started on your journey. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And what would you say to someone that's like, oh, once you get older, like your 40s, your 50s, like it's just hard. Like it's just harder. Like, is that true?
I hear that all the time. And it can be harder only because of just like over time, like if we've done a lot of diets, we've done a lot of things that have slowed our metabolism down, it can seem a little bit harder, but it doesn't have to be, right? We just got to we got to get those hormones working a little bit better. We got to get that metabolism kicked back up with just some little changes and things like that. And then, yes, you can lose weight as easily as anybody else. It's just, sometimes it's just a lifetime of like doing these things that maybe just made it a little bit harder, but it doesn't mean we can't undo that and start moving in the right direction. And you're definitely not like, give up, this isn't going to work. Like you're stuck being overweight for the next 40 years. Like that's so not true. And some of it too, we just, you think about it, we were active. A lot of us were super active and moving around and doing a lot of stuff when we were younger. And then we get these like jobs where we're sitting all the time and things like that. So of course, when we're moving less, it's going to seem like it's going to make it harder, but it's just because it's our lifestyles too. So sometimes it's just shifting some things, and then we can start to see, the fat fall off and look better in the clothes and all the things that we're looking for. So it's, it's definitely not impossible. And it's definitely something that we shouldn't, I don't think women should give up on just because they hit a certain age, because I've seen women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, all ages, lose the weight, get in shape, and start making those changes. So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Like, so I'm 43, but now I'm in a better place than I was when I was 38. Than I was like 5 years ago. And I'm just continuing on my own journey. So it's just funny to hear, the beliefs that people have. And so that's awesome. Cause I think that's such 40 and over is such like a perfect like niche kind of. So that's awesome. And you're on Instagram and Facebook, right?
Yep. Instagram is saying Becky Fox Fitness, and just look for me on Facebook, Becky Fox. Search, you'll find it somehow. I don't think there's that many Becky Foxes in the world, but there are a few other ones, but yeah.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad that, thank you for taking the time, because I really do like, when I saw you doing your transition this summer and moving, and I was like, you know what? I was like, that's so inspiring. And like, I hope that people that are listening and that follow you on Instagram and Facebook get, inspired, because like we said, like change is hard, but staying stuck is harder. And only one of them is going to produce a different outcome.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Like the grass may be greener on the other side. It may not be, but at least, it's worth checking sometimes.
Yeah. At least, and sometimes it might not be as green, but it might still be better than the situation you were in before, for sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, well, thank you so much. And stay tuned for next week, where we dive a little bit more into emotions and all that good stuff. So cheers, friends. Bye.